systems nominal.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Today we are taking a look at a, dare I say it, very interesting game. This is one I've been looking forward to for quite some time. This is Psycho Patrol R, as you can kind of read in front of the mech that's currently walking down this infinite hallway. This is a game by Ville Kallio, the creator of Cruelty Squad. So already you have an idea what to expect from that kind of pedigree. Let's get into this. So, first things first. The game is currently in early access, so everything that I'm going to be talking about is potentially going to get revised, altered, expanded upon, fixed, who knows. So basically what I'm going to be talking about is the basic skeleton and bare bones of the game, which I think has shown a lot of promise already. So yeah, this is definitely one to keep an eye on, even if you're not interested in, joining in for the early access thing. You'll suffer the consequences of your actions, but not in this game. I love this guy's sense of humor. Alright. Your favorite feature is not in the game yet. That's always good to know. Features will become incomplete until they're not. Alright, so. First things first, let's get one thing out of the gate. This is not Cruelty Squad 2. This game has definitely has some similarities and certain things that have been, brought over from Cruelty Squad, certain concepts. But this game has its own identity and it does its own thing. Starting from right here, new game, you have an actual character creation with stats that you can actually decide upon. So you have a choice between Recruit, Warrior Cop, SWAT, Detective, Carabiniere, guessing that's Italian, and Specialist for the Sam Fisher aficionados. So as you can see, each one comes with its own starting equipment, as well as its starting stats, and also starting equipment not just in terms of guns and personal equipment, but also your starting mech equipment, including what kind of mech it actually is. The armor, engine, the core, which is your main body, legs, targeting computers, everything, all that stuff. So you have your basic stats here: vitality, general fitness, health, maximum oxygen level when you're going on water, different resistances, strength, lifting and throwing stuff, reduces recoil from firearms, perception, this one doesn't, the rest of these don't have tooltips yet for whatever reason. Perception increases your accuracy with firearms. You also see it affects your weapon sway quite a bit, and the range at which you detect certain items, and can determine whether the health and armor ratings for the NPCs you run into. Speed determines how fast you run, agility is how high you jump. Bioenergy you will see is it has two basic things. One, it determines the amount of orgone energy you have personally. We'll get into that later. It also, as far as I can understand it, increases the inherent hostility of NPCs by 0.5% per point you put into bioenergy. So that's interesting right there. Apparently they just don't like you when you have a very energetic personality. Luck increases certain drop rates and gives a small chance of bullets kind of bouncing off your armor and such as that. And lack, which is an interesting stat, this one, every point you put into this reduces your overall level. Now your overall level determines the cost for increasing your stats. So putting points in lack will make it cheaper to increase your other stats. It also increases the spawn rate of hostile NPCs both on foot and in mechs. So you're going to want to watch out how many points you put in there. It's a bit of a trade-off there. Anyway, I've already got a save startup here I've been pretty advanced in. Picked a Carabiniere for startup. I've played a couple of these starter classes, and really, obviously, in terms of their importance, it's just basically a stat array. So far, I have not been questioned or reacted to based on my chosen origin. Gotta love the pan-European flag here to really set the mood. But like I said, they're basically just your starting stats. You can then, from then on, as you gain resources, you can increase them as you see fit, determining your particular playstyle and how you want to go about things. So, welcome to the European Federal Police Headquarters. Here I'm in the garage at my one of my save points here. These count as both your fast travel to various areas, as well as your manual save areas. And also, as you can see here, once you touch them, you automatically create an autosave. So this is basically where you'll go to if you end up dead. Lots of these different places. You also have plenty of NPCs to talk to. This is Delgard Schmidt. She is our V-Stalker mechanic, and this is my personal ride. As you can see, I've kitted it out with some heavier equipment than what normally you'd start with here. Kept one of the original guns, though. So, we talk to her. You can see V-Stalker stands for Vertical Assault Stalker Unit, or VASU, but everyone calls them V-Stalkers. Highly modifiable and customizable mechs here. You can also see the conversations are way more involved than they ever were in Cruelty Squad. This game... How to describe this game? I mean, in terms of the basic, like, you know, X meets Y kind of comparisons, this is like Deus Ex meets Morrowind meets Shogo Mobile Armor Division meets a shit ton of cocaine, which is an actual item in-game. You are going to be using a lot of cocaine in this game. Acquire cocaine is very good. Especially grade A cocaine, it's not as toxic. But I'll get into that. You are part of the European Federal Police, the Psycho Patrol. Essentially a... How should I put this? It's a bit complicated, so let's talk to our boss here. He explains it better than I can. This is Mr. Lorenzo Visconti. This unit of ours, my pride and joy, new type of policing built around modern criminology that fully acknowledges the existence of psychohazards. This new paradigm will allow us to tackle crime at its root rather than treating the symptoms. Total transformation, a transcendental revolution of the brain-body world. The first anti-fascist, anti-Hitlerite police tactical unit in the world. What is a psychohazard? A concept I've personally been developing for a long time now. How psychological forms or constructs become flesh in the physical world and cause all kinds of societal illness, crime. All strife in the modern world can be traced back to the proliferation of psychological weapons and their use, both intentional and unintentional. A psychohazard is essentially a virus of the mind, a rapidly replicating autonomous machine. Basically, memes. In the original Dawkinsian sense of the term, we are the thought police, and we are going to be going out with a very, very large killer robot armed to the goddamn teeth and a license to shoot and obliterate anybody who gets in our way as we attempt to deal with nasty memes. Yeah. If Cruelty Squad had its own kind of, you know, undercurrent and overcurrent of satire and, you know, critique of, you know, hyper-capitalist dystopian society in that case, this one is, you know, it's got its own thing going, that's for sure. Our current main case, if we go here to my little personal computer here, case files, our main case is dealing with a psychohazard, a meme that's basically spreading, saying that certain chemicals, sodium lauryl sulfate, a common anionic surfactant used in shampoo and toothpaste, is apparently causing hair loss and cancer, which, whether it's true or not, is, you know, irrelevant. It's causing potential chaos in the markets, so we must track down the source of this particular meme and, well, eliminate it. And that's where we come in here. So, yeah, already, you can see the basic narrative is going to be very different from something like Cruelty Squad, where there you're playing as a gig economy assassin for hire. Here you are a Fed, you are a cop. You are part of an actual official organization, you know, national organization in a version of the European Union that is way more highly federated than, you know, the current version that we actually have. Also, apparently there was a genocide of the Portuguese and food riots in Brussels and all sorts of crazy shit happened. Oh, and also, there was a early 20th century psychoanalyst named Wilhelm Reich, who, among other things, coined the term sexual revolution, so a pretty important guy. He was like studying under Freud. He was also a complete fucking crackpot who came up with the concept of orgone energy and tried to use it to both cure cancer, cure the world's ills, and make it rain. Look into this guy. He's just like utterly bizarre in terms of, you know, the kinds of stuff he got up to. Eventually got into serious trouble with the law. I won't go too much into it. But in this world, well, apparently his stuff worked, because as you can see from the stats on this gun here, energy weapon, this fires pure orgone energy, so it turns out he was right about that. You can also summon this guy at the press of a button. This is a Bion. He's like a little helper that I can ask about stuff. Also, acts as a torch here. You can see he generates a little bit of light and pop him out of existence whenever I want. That's also another concept, pioneered by Mr. Reich there. In fact, this game was released on the 24th of March on William Reich's birthday. So, yeah, Ville knows exactly what he's doing. So, I mentioned Deus Ex. So, obviously, yeah, this kind of like weird conspiratorial stuff. The funny thing is, William Reich, I had actually heard about this stuff before from a RPG book from Steve Jackson Games called GURPS Warehouse 23, which is all about the kind of like, conspiracy memorabilia. They got stats for like the Ark of the Covenant and a bunch of other stuff, black helicopters, which turns out run on Orgone. There's an entire section on Orgone energy and how it applies to UFOs and various Illuminati technologies and shit like that for your kind of Illuminati groups, Illuminati campaigns. Funny thing is that Wilhelm Reich is supposedly had used his Orgone emitters that he was trying to change the weather with to shoot down UFOs. Something to do with deadly Orgone radiation, which is the opposite of good Orgone and is actually one of our stats here. If we look at status, DOR resistance. So I'm guessing this is actually resistance to these kinds of energy weapons that I'm using here. Toxic resistance, heat resistance. So let's go actually look into the other stats here. I told them about the stats I've got here. As you can see, you can actually see your character model changes based on the equipment you're carrying. The other stats we've got are, pause so I can show the mouse here. Health, pretty obvious what that is. Armor, this is based on the armor you're wearing, so basically the better the armor, the more you have here, and actually this armor, if we look at what I'm wearing here, ESO level 3 body armor, this one here, this is an actual real rating for body armor and reacts exactly the same way. High enough body armor will stop small caliber pistol rounds dead in their tracks without actually doing any damage to yourself at all. So, then you need actual rifle rounds or, armor-piercing ammunition to get through them. So that's actually, nice little touch of realism, actually, in this game, which is, funny when you think about it. I mean, you can see the vending machine has faces on it, for crying out loud. Beyond that, you have fatigue. As you can see, it's constantly rising. Fatigue, if it maxes out, you will pass out regardless of what you're doing and just, fall asleep until it completely exhausts itself. So, to get rid of that, you have a couple of options. One is to, do drugs. Cocaine is one of them. The other alternative is to go for an energy drink, which costs 100 euros, unless I do a little something here. The cool thing about the Carabinieri is that he starts with the Hackman tool, which means I can start fucking around by looking through the hex editor here, or the password to access. There we go. The passwords are constantly changing, by the way, so you can't always get the right one. There we go. So let's say I just change up the price to 0. You gotta love this is Europe, right? Energy drinks are 100 euros. The wine is 10. Of course, now they're both 0, so I just give me that. And there we go. Which means now I can just suck down a couple of these. Now these ones reduce fatigue by 10 each, increase toxicity by 2. Toxicity works about the same way it did in Cruelty Squad. The higher it is, the more damage your health is going to take as it goes down. And yes, the flesh rats are back in this game, and they are just as goddamn annoying as in the previous one. So, watch your toes. So let's use this. So you can see my toxicity rising there. Still low enough that it's not affecting my health, which is good. So yeah, you can just keep, sucking down on stuff, doing snorting cocaine and all sorts of stuff. The better the grade of cocaine, the less toxicity it has. So that's something to keep in mind. Otherwise, if your fatigue is over 50, you can go onto any bed or the sofa here in your office and sleep for a couple hours until you can finally get yourself, back to something at least reasonably awake. Incidentally, you will pass out even in the middle of a fight, so, you really don't want that fatigue level to go too high when you're, busy doing something else. So, of course, you have Orgone. That's mostly for your personal energy weapons. The character I'm playing starts out with this Orgone pistol. Costs 20 Orgone per shot, semi-automatic. He also has a rifle that I currently don't have equipped. I have a 5.7mm 5.7 suppressed pistol out of that Sam Fisher. that I managed to get by breaking into the evidence room. You're going to be doing a lot of stuff in this game that is, how should I put this, not exactly standard police procedure. So I can log into a computer here. And yes, your password is your boss's name. Turns out our recruit guy here is a massive... fanboy is not enough. He is a simp for his boss. You can also hack your own computer if you want to. The cool thing about the hack tool is that you can access any other computer system that is connected to the same network. So I can just zoom in here. All you have to do is put in the number that is associated to it here into the IP. So let's say I want to do some shenanigans over in the neighboring offices, and I don't want to deal with the security turret. So let's put that. There we go. Number 5. And we just got to find the security code. So let's go through the hexes until we find a word that makes sense. Oh, there we go. Unity. So far, I haven't encountered anything a la Deus Ex where you have a time limit or somebody, counter-hacking you or anything like that, or anything like, if you remember, play I Divine Cybermancy, which is a kind of game that this game does remind me quite a lot of. You don't have a situation where your brain gets rehacked or something like that. Alright, so here we are. Right now it's, nighttime, so lights are off, but you can kind of see where the 2 guards are over there. So I can disable this, and then manually control, with difficulty, if I want to just, fire it at them like there. You can also access your other computers and stuff. Speaking of, you have over, where was it? I think it's over here. Yeah. Here we have Mr. Helmut Set. He is a Reichian psych... Yeah, there you go, Willem Reich. He's a Reichian psychoanalyst who's also in charge... Yeah, I'm pressing O. That's what I'm doing whenever I summon that bio guy. First, I was skeptical of working for the monopoly-owned violence, but it didn't take much for Lorenzo to convince me. He knows his Reich, and this is a great opportunity to de-Hitlerify the federal police from the inside. Yeah, they're really into that. Help loosen your muscular armor. That was the thing in Reichian psychoanalysis. They did a lot of massages and stuff in order to get people to loosen up, in order to better... It's complicated. Suffice to say, the guy had some interesting ideas, which eventually wound him up in prison. So, anyway, the character analyse computer is where we do our leveling up. So how much... Okay, I don't have enough money. But here's where we level up our stuff. Aside from that, there's, a bunch of other NPCs to talk to, which you can always reference by going to the database here. And this will take you to the names, like Beatrice Vaccaro is that lady who was right over there, which will allow you to track individuals. And you can then put their name on, and if you're in the same level as they are, you'll be able to see exactly where they are. Not necessarily how to get to them, but you'll be able to see them, so that's useful. And then turn that off. Red ones are dead, because, in this case I shot him, because, well, this guy shot at me first. This guy, well, he was a bit of a jerk. Interesting thing, this guy had a Guardia di Finanza liquidation order on him, same thing as this guy here, or tax evasion as well. Which means if you kill this character with this, you get an extra 2,000 euros in addition to whatever the hell they were carrying on you. So, yeah. So anyway, the database here shows you their birth year, liquid capital, how much money they have on them, hostility rating based on, their current level of how much they dislike you, Fidel Gematria, I have no idea what that means, and where they were last seen. In the case of... Yeah, so here, hostility, 10%. Usually when they're around 80-90%, around here, they don't want to talk to you too much. The only ways you can reduce hostility is either by bribing them with an appropriate amount of money. If you bribe them too little, they'll actually piss them off more when they'll refuse a bribe. Or you can also appropriate funds from them. Basically just, shake them down as a proper, rogue police officer would do. But this will also increase hostility. The only other way... I've got some money too, which is nice. So we'll discuss this in a little bit. The only other way is to do quests for them, and quests for their faction, as you can see here, which is a whole other hostility bar. So as we just saw, I just got my daily income of 588 euros, which is based on, of course, the stock market. This is back. You can invest in the EFP, the European Federal Police, consumer soft products, of course, makers of Cruelty Squad. Potato X, they are doing smart contract-based potato farming. Complicated. Glenmire Distillery, Gorebear Wineries, Security Redefined, the Euro Food Max, Gelatinous Fiber Corporation, Supreme Truth, they make those energy drinks, and Frogwares. Frogwares is interesting because you actually helped create this company by investing into it, a private paramilitary corporation dedicated to modernizing stimulant supply chain strategies. They're a drug-dealing criminal syndicate that I just, gave 10 grand to, so. Fun times. So yeah, you can talk to these folks, like here, 90% hostility. Nothing to say. As I said, bioenergy can increase the amount of innate hostility that NPCs have, and I've got 20, so yeah, it adds up. Turn on the flashlight here. Now, flashlight. This is a good example of something else here. Underneath the bar that says DNA damage, which increases by 1 every time you die, and don't reload from a save. Yes, I am a save-coming bastard. I don't care. You can see here visibility. Visibility basically tells you how visible you are. And here's the great thing about that. Now, you can tell when someone's dangerous is looking at you because that little eye shows up. That means that an enemy with the ability to harm you can spot you. Now, right now I am visible at 4 meters distance. I can sneak up to within 4 meters of a character before they see me. As you can see on my crosshair there, there's a little mention of the distance of whatever it's pointed at. This means you can be very aware of exactly how far away you are from an enemy at any given time and how far away they can spot you at a distance. That is very useful information, and I'm very glad it's put this way. It's just damned useful. As you can see here, light makes it go up, including a flashlight. And of course, when you're in your mech, you don't have to worry about it. Everybody can see you because you're in a goddamn giant robot. It's kind of, hard to miss. So here's where we do our configurations. Activate that. So, weapons. There are a shit ton of weapons in this game. And some of them you can buy here. Others you just have to find either by killing enemies and picking up what they've got, or by finding them hidden in certain areas. Some safes or just, little nooks and crannies. Same thing goes for parts for your mech, as well as, general equipment for yourself, items that you can find. Cigarettes. Cigarettes are actually useful because when you smoke one, it stops your fatigue dead in its tracks. It doesn't go up anymore. So that's actually very, very useful. If you're in the midst of, a firefight or something like that, you just hit the button, pop a smoke, and then you're just like, my nerves are calm, and I can start killing people with abandon without risking passing out. So good stuff. So you can get a whole bunch of stuff. Additional body armor. You can buy a hat. Not that you really need it. Night vision goggles. This is the same kind that the Specialist Origin had with you. Some of these items are exclusive to those Origins. Other ones you can buy or find later on. You have various parts. I'm saving up for the Type 2 Orgon engine, so I have a bit quicker organ regeneration. We'll see when I get into the mech there. Different armor types. The armor actually determines the shape of your mech to an extent. Also, you have the legs. I should probably get these ones too. They're useful to have. The core determines your basic health and the basic amount of organ that your mech actually has to work with. And of course, guns. Lots of guns of various calibers. The EFP-214 Crowd Pleaser. Nice. Good stuff. So, going back over here. So, when you saw my log back up there, it mentioned that there was a little bit of money being taken off for ammo debt. That is because guns with ammunition cost money. This 20mm rotary cannon here fires 14 euros, 14.5 euros per shot. This thing adds up a lot very quickly if you're not careful. This one here fires 7.62mm. Not very good, effective against mechs, but good for against infantry. Only half a euro a shot. But then again, it's 15,000 RPM, so this thing also adds up. Now, when I said that I picked the Carabinieri Origin for a reason, you see these Orgon weapons? Look at the cost of ammo. That's because it doesn't use ammo. These things fire pure energy from your personal or mech Orgon pool. That means that you can save a shit ton of money as you start getting used to the game by picking that Origin, because you start out with this one on your mech, this one here in your hand, and if I switch out to the other one here, yeah, Orgon Energy Rifle. This one's actually pretty cool because it's got scope on it and stuff like that. And also, these are practically hit scan weapons without bullet drop. So, Orgon weapons, they get outclassed by other weapons coming later on, but for starter stuff, they are actually really, really good. So, if you decide to play this game and are having trouble getting started, I recommend picking the Carabinieri, just, to get yourself used to the ropes. Although you will encounter more hostile NPCs just, randomly because of that high lack score. So, be warned about that too. But anyway, this is basically how, if you ever played the original Armored Core games, this is how it works. You can easily wind up in massive debt by just unloading the really expensive guns willy-nilly. So you do have to be very careful about this kind of thing. And you also don't want to do just, double Orgon, because you won't have enough energy left over for, to use them practically. So let's see, I could put the Parasonic 20mm rifle here instead. That's semi-automatic, so at least there's a bit more... There's a bit more, economy there. Also put this one, the 12.7mm, 3.4 euros. Not too bad. Load 150 rounds. These things reload automatically, so you don't have to worry about that. Oh, there is one thing, though. Remember how in Cruelty Squad, in order to reload, you actually had... Let's say, pick this one. You had to do, pull it down like that, hold down right mouse button, do that. Here, if you move up, you will actually unload your gun. So, yeah, don't do that. A little extra little wrinkle to the game right there. So let's put my suppressed pistol there. I could actually... Yeah, you know what? Screw it. Let's put on the suppressed... not P90. It's the FMB90S. So, same thing as in Cruelty Squad. You got your aim ability. This is what I meant about, weapon handling. You see how there's a slight lag between where I'm moving and where the crosshair is? This applies to all weapons. The higher your perception, the more this is mitigated. But as you can see, longer arms, like the B90 here, takes a little bit longer for it to reach than a pistol. So even if you have a powerful long arm, if you're in close quarters, you're still better off using the pistol because you can react quicker and aim faster than you can with the long arm in those kinds of ranges. That's actually, a really nice touch. I like that quite a bit. Now, speaking of weapons, here's something that's actually cool. See this gun here, the 7.62mm minigun there? You can manually remove weapons off of your mech, replace them with weapons that are found from your mechs you destroy, and just customize your mech on the fly like this, like in something like Lost Planet. Which, honestly, this is what attracted me to this game in the first place. One, there are not enough FPS mech sims, in the sense of something where you're both on foot, doing, tactical combat, infantry style, but also having, a big stompy robot you can get into and out of at will, which is the case here. Also, you can fire it. Which, of course, is a bitch because you need a shit ton of strength to be able to fire this thing and not to have the recoil be, send you all over the place. It's even worse with, that big 20mm rotary cannons you can imagine. Hello folks, this is Zero from the future. Just a couple of weapon mechanics I forgot to cover during my initial recording that I feel should be probably mentioned. There's a couple of things as well here. For instance, many weapons have a different firing modes that you can select here. I can have this 7.62mm assault rifle to single or a full auto. As you can see there. There's also several weapons, and this is pretty cool. You can select different kinds of ammunition. So the revolver here comes in 357 Magnum. Bang, obviously. Rope arrow. So if you shoot that at a ceiling, and all of a sudden, you got yourself a nice little elevated access point that you can use to get around a little bit to places you're not supposed to. Very useful. There's also a gun that you can buy that's dedicated specifically to rope arrows, so that's pretty cool. And DNA dart, which works like this. There's also a gun called the DNA sniffer you can buy that does this. You can shoot any character. Yeah. And it'll tell you found in the federal DNA database, and it'll also mark them automatically. So obviously, she was already in the database, right? Let's see, right here. You can untrack them if you want, and it applies also to just random NPCs, like so. Now, obviously, in this case, it's a loud pistol. The DNA sniffer is luckily silent. The other thing is that at any point you can dual wield every weapon that you have access to. Simply by then you just click the left and right mouse buttons to fire. Now the one downside, as you can see here, I'm out of Magnum ammo, is that you cannot reload or aim down sights while you're dual wielding. So I have to do that and do that in order to actually be able to use the full functionalities of my weapons here. You can still use change the firing modes and change the ammunition on these things. So yeah, extra little bits of fun times for those things. And if I'm not mistaken, you can also... Yes, you can dual wield mech weapons as well. Yeah. So, let's see where to put this. Let's just grab that. And light them up. Alright, so let's jump in here. So here's your mech. So you're strafing around. Let's head outside here and demonstrate a bit. I'm going to go through a combat zone and then head over to the residential area, and from there, show off some of the more social quest and kind of thing, and the on-the-ground tactical stuff. So, a couple of things to know about the mech. One, you have the ability to skate by just, pressing the space bar. There's other mobility systems as well for other mechs. And, I should probably do some cocaine. I'm gonna fall asleep. Oh, there. Just turn on the cigarette there. You can see it burning down in real time, which is cool. Now let's go here. I have a siren too, which is kind of cool. Sometimes there's an... Oh, no, okay. Sometimes there's an NPC mech that's that spawns in ready to shoot you when you come out of your office, so you gotta watch that. Alright, so you can also get an outdoor camera view. You can, by holding down E, free aim. There's an item also called the Advanced Targeting Computer. The regular targeting computer marks vehicles, as you can see here, with those little targeting reticules. Zoom in here. Basically, these will show you where to shoot even when they're on the move, so that your shots actually hit. With the orgon weapons, since it's a hit scan, and you can see how quickly that drains your energy there. Those are hit scan and, straight on, so you don't have to worry too much about aiming. But for the cannons, stuff like that, you do have to lead your shots. Oh, and also... Ooh, $60. You can step on civilians willy-nilly and make a bit of money that way. So long as you're not stepping on anybody who's a member of a particular faction, you're not going to aggro the rest of them, so that's always good. And anybody who is not a unique NPC will respawn after you exit the area and come back. Let's go to the PHC-free city and shoot some incels. I'm not kidding, by the way. That's literally what they call themselves. See? Welcome to the home of the Brigate Incel. They are a bunch of Marxist-Leninist militia members. We're about to get absolutely fried. Because they don't seem to realize that I am completely immune to small arms fire. Splat. This never gets old. Good times. So, okay, there's going to be these guys. Finish them. So, yeah, as you can see, your shots are a little bit off-center, obviously, because your guns here are on each side. Your guns on the sides can be independently aimed, as I said, with using the free aim there. The gun that's on the bottom here, however, is that little red reticle. You can then hit Q in order to recenter. So you have to bear that in mind. Regardless of which, you can put any gun in any of the 3 slots. You just have to be aware of the... Oop, sorry. Ooh, 101.45 euros. Nice. There we go. The V-Stalkers in this area are among the weakest you'll encounter. There are some really nasty ones out there as well. So you probably noticed my armor has not gone down at all. Small arms fire like these guys, firing 7.62mm, is not going to actually do anything to me, especially since I'm operating something with heavy armor. Now, if my armor is damaged, on the other hand, then these shots can actually go through, so you have to be careful about that. There's another guy up here. There he is. Splat. And there are 2 guys. Let's see. You coming out to play? No, not yet. Alright, there's another guy behind there. Oops, sorry. Okay, there's 2 guys here. You can pretty much spam this thing because I've got so much Orgon. Grab the iron. So yeah, at any point you can just grab one of their guns. Since the game here is operating on a semi-open world kind of thing instead of discrete levels like Cruelty Squad was, in order to add weapons to your inventory, you just have to pick them up. You don't even actually have to bring them back through to a level exit, which is useful in that regard. Still, you have to look around corners, and yeah, you can't really shoot around corners either, but the good thing is that if you're peeking around corners, they usually don't notice immediately unless you stick your whole hitbox out, so it's a good way of just poking out, recon, and then get going. So let's head back into our mech. This whole area is basically your tutorial to teach you stay in your mech as much as you can. It is just really, really useful. Not the least of which because you can just step on pedestrians without having to worry at all about taking any damage from them. You can just step on them, which I always love doing with mechs. There's another one over here. There he is. As I said, these are pretty weak enemies, but there's one nastier one later on. That's the minigun. Splat. So yeah, this is actually a pretty good place. Once you've got a decent grasp of the mechanics, you can farm some money here pretty easily. Especially if you don't either start with the Orgon weapons or eventually find them. There's actually one of the, not the one I'm currently using, but there is a actual armor set for the mech that is located just a little bit further up there. It's actually a pretty good one to start up with, so recommend hunting it down. That's one of the things I like about this game. There's always something to find. You just gotta look around, you know? There we go. Like, you're looking around every nook and cranny, you're gonna find all sorts of stuff, whether it's, pulling factions to talk to, NPCs with quests to get, missions to give you, information on the ones that you're currently on, items hidden away, new parts, new weapons, all sorts of stuff. There we go, get the money. There we go, dodge. Here's the thing about the dodging. You double tap, or head, Z, X, or C in order to dodge in these 3 directions. Hit space to skate. Here's the thing, when you're skating, you cannot change direction by strafing. You can only dodge. And you can't dodge if all your organ's gone. You can keep skating if your organ's gone, so there is that at least. But admittedly, since I'm using an organ energy weapon, well, gotta be extra careful about that. Speaking of which, we're gonna have 3 more mechs to kill. Oh. Oop, shit. Oh yeah, my fatigue hit. Okay. Yeah, I forgot I wasn't smoking anymore. So you can see, your armor goes down really quick. Remember how in... There we go, and same thing for them. You remember how in Cruelty Squad you went down very quickly, like in a couple of shots, if you had gotten into a firefight and didn't, immediately take cover and take out your enemies? Well, the same thing applies in this game, and the same thing applies when you're fighting other mechs. In fact, I'm not even going to deal with the one there, because he's actually got one of those big 20mm rotary guns, so I'm going to get shredded. Just going to make my way to the exit here. Luckily, when you get to an exit, your armor and health gets regenerated for both you and your mech, so that's good. Burst in residential. Yeah, let's get the hell out of here. Basically, the thing to remember about this game is that you are not in a battle mech. You are in a scope dog. These mechs are glass cannons, even the really heavy armored ones. You get shredded very, very easily. Okay, we got another guy there I should be taking out. That's a guy who will help me with my investment portfolio by killing him. Oh, okay, no, that's an neutral tank over there. Ah. There we go. The reason my crosshair was actually pointing at that guy is because I currently have, if we look at my status here, the advanced targeting computer. Once you get within a certain range of any mech or vehicle, such as for instance there, your targeting ready. Oh, guy with a shotgun. Splat. Yeah, guy did not learn his lesson. So as you can see, so long as you're within a certain range and your targeting computer's on, it will lock on. So you can actually just, dodge around and, well, probably you have the room for it, dodge around and, keep your weapons trained on your target. Now, it doesn't care whether that target is actually allied to you or not, so, bear that in mind. Also, your your mech guns are really good for blowing up doors. This is one of the things I love about this game. It's just how much of an immersive sim it actually is. There are lots of ways of figuring out how to complete the various missions that you're going to get yourself over the course of this. Right now, there's only one main quote-unquote mission, that the SLS hunt mission that I was talking about earlier. Oops, sorry. But you pick up a whole bunch of little side quests, such as, the one I'm going to be doing by shooting this guy in the head. Ooh. Was there another guy over there? No. Oops, sorry. Alright, I'm just gonna... I'm actually gonna hit this place, hit this one here, get the autosave just in case. Alright. Hop out the mech. And, let's see, can I... Nope. I equipped the the rappel grappling hook here, which is a neat little way of getting through. Hello. You can talk to these people about all sorts of crazy shit. Look at this man standing over here using big words. I wouldn't mind paying my taxes. The federal government didn't put so much money in secret sex parties for the fabulously wealthy. Yeah. The Potato X is going to do really well this coming quarter. I have FAS because my mommy had a drinky while just saying me in her tummy. It sounds similar. Said there. Celibacy, I believe it's just a passing trend. Can't see this lasting too long. Personally, I'm not into it. Yeah, I can get that. Shit these people say. Let's can sneak in. Oop. Sneak in here. You could also hack your way through the keypad. Vladimir Chernobog. Oh yeah. This guy. Yeah, there we got a case for a lost dog. Could do that one. It was booming. Invest someone else's money, just take it and rake in the fees. It doesn't matter if you're beating the market or not. Okay, he's an investor. Came home one day and this whole apartment was ransacked. However, nothing was missing. At first, I thought someone had come here for me, possibly a disgruntled investor. After a while, I noticed my precious human dog, Face Ripper, was missing. There's a reason they're called human dogs. Can you believe it? Somebody has stolen my dog. If I ever find the person who did this, I will kill him with my bare hands. Well, we can find him instead. So now this guy's been added to our list of people, so we can now track him. We go to database. Vladimir Chanabok. Seems like he's about to fly in a fit of rage. Last seen, versed in residential. So now we can track him. So yeah, we're gonna go and find... Hello. How are you doing? Practically infinite possibilities for the financial world in the third world. You do some great work. Well, thank you. Nice to be appreciated. I love aromas. Oh yeah, I do have a noise complaint, I believe. Let's see, case files, noise nightmare. Goran Stromfeld has asked me to deal with a noise problem that's been bothering him recently. Someone in the neighborhood is playing loud music and it's interfering with his work. This guy. Charlie Rave. Oink oink piggy piggy, get the fuck out, mate. Yeah, I fucking hate your coppers, mate. Tell you what, mate, if you deal with the lad who complained about the Raver's music, I'll pay you. How's $5 sound, mate? Interesting. You take me for a snitch, mate? Okay. So maybe if I help this guy out, he'll point me in the right direction, or I could just shoot him in the fucking head. Turn off the music, at least. Okay, he's got a bed here I can sleep in if I feel like it. So let's see. Where is the other guy? Noise Nightmare, Goran Stromfeld. I think that guy, yeah, he's a victim of tax evasion. And he's got a bunch of stuff. Oh, it's the potato guy. I've talked to him. You also have a little messenger program. You can talk to NPCs you have there. So, like, Potato X guy. Jesus Christ, I fucking hate my life. Yelling to the void. You can actually send them messages, like, you can ask, how do I become potato form? Your company's going to fail. I'm sorry you feel this way about our service. Yeah, well, I think I'm going to shoot you in the face, so, you know. Yeah, that's probably going to have a negative impact on your stock portfolio. Where is he? Oh, this is how much you have to write about Lorenzo Visconti here. This guy's a bit obsessed. John Loser. Ah, here he is. Okay, track individual. Let's see. He is... Ah, that way. I think he's in the apartment building next door. Oh, here's a nice little touch. See this little red X there? That's where your mech is. So you can always find it regardless of where you are on the level. It's very handy. Really, this game... Obviously, in terms of, like, you know, difficulty, it's still pretty goddamn hard. As soon as you get into a firefight, if you're not paying attention, and you are going to get yourself wrecked repeatedly. And, oh yeah, if you do get, let's see, if I remember correctly, it's... There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you do get shot and killed, well, guess what? All the money you're carrying, you drop into the ground. Police. So, yeah, and as you can imagine, if you don't pick it up and die again, well, congratulations, you just lost whatever the hell you were carrying. So he's going to be up here. Suppressed gun, just in case. It's dreadful not many dogs around here, but I happened to visit the little coffee shop in the park, and one of the regulars, a scary mercenary, just go by his call sign Silver, suddenly had a new dog. It was very surprising to me how gentle he was with it. I didn't take him for that kind of person. Okay, so... yeah, basically, through transcendental meditation, you alter your genetic code in order to become a bio-blockchain for potatoes. It's nuts. So, let's see here. Oh, also, we got a... sure, well, actually, I'm not going to bother with it. Turns out this thing's full of potatoes. So, all right. There we go. Did anybody notice? Doesn't look like it. Try a flashlight just in case. Alright, I want that money. Alright, climb up on the roof. Escape. Turns out we can actually get to this guy's apartment from here. Oop. There we go. See what I mean? Going through vents and everything. This definitely has the feel of something like a cross between Morrowind and Deus Ex. It's proper sick, mate. There's a payment, I promise. Be seeing ya. It's all about proper banging on Neo Jungle, mate. Sometimes I even relax some ambient tracks. My neighbors thank me for that. Fucking hate your coppers, man. Okay, still not too happy with me. Well, mate, all I can say is that I've had to turn up the music to hide the yelling and squealing from one of my neighbors until a couple of days ago when it just stopped. It was proper hardcore shite, frightening. Okay, so it does seem like, you know, other guy was not too happy about his dog, or at least, you know, wasn't treating it very well. Alright. Off lights. Alright. So in this case, we need to find a park. This guy. Okay, still nothing to say there. Let's just climb down this way. The grappling hook comes in very handy if you want to actually make, you know, either go to the roof and rappel down to a window and get into a place from that angle, or try to grapple up and, you know, climb up. There's just so many ways of approaching any given scenario. You know, do you want to go in guns blazing? Do you want to sneak in? Do you want to bribe potentially an NPC, get, you know, some better access that way? There's just so many ways of doing things. That's what I love about this kind of game. This is how systemic it is in terms of just the different options you have depending on your stats, upon the equipment that you have. All this kind of stuff. It's really great. Okay, that guy was hostile. Good. And there we go. So if I hadn't already picked that up, that would be something I could get there. I'm guessing this is Silver. Everybody here cool? Sunboy Mega Practical. Welcome to my coffee state of mind. Don't talk before I've had mine. Okay, yeah. And you can barter with pretty much every NPC you run into. Some of them have some stuff, others don't. This guy sells espresso. Okay, not too bad. And based on their hostility, you have better prices. So that's cool. Daylight happened. Alright, so let's see. I've got a bunch of potatoes I can sell. Rancy, a fish burger. Revolution fast food technology. Ugh. Let's see, energy drinks. Let's sell a bunch of those if I wanted to. Oh, he also has a breaching charge. Damn. Powerful directed charge that can be used to breach through armored doors. I think I'm good for now. Let's deal with this guy here. Owned, so you can imagine picking this up will make him dislike me, and yeah, that's a machine gun right there. I'm the founder of a small private military contractor firm, the Silver PMC. One day, this human dog just walked up to me, badly damaged and in great distress. I nursed it to health, and after that, it refused to leave my side. I never wanted to own a dog, but I feel some level of responsibility for this one. Okay, so this guy's a nice guy. When I first met this dog, it was severely beaten and malnourished. I was surprised it could still walk. It wasn't stolen. I had an obvious escape from a dire living situation. I refused to return this dog to whoever it escaped from. Hard feelings if you ever meet on the battlefield. It's just work to me. You got anything? He's got some grade C cocaine. As you can see, 100 toxicity versus my A grade cocaine, 25 toxicity. Basically, if ever you want good cocaine in this part of the world, you go talk to my boy, Money Toad, located right over there. He's got the good shit. And this is a human dog. You can see why it's called that. This game is nowhere near as visually aggressive as Cruelty Squad, mostly due to the fact that it doesn't need to be. That one really did reflect the whole, hyper-capitalist cyberpunk dystopia by really making it, fucking horrifying to look at in certain ways, which, really reinforces the whole dystopia thing. Turn off the tracking there. Well, here, things seem pleasant in their own kind of weird, crazy way. But there's still that undercurrent of something fucked up. I mean, human dog. Come on. Last time I saw something like that was in, the 70s invasion of the body snatchers. So, alright. So let's pop back in here. Actually, let's deal with Udo here first. See, I'm doing a little job for the bank. He apparently owes them a mortgage. Just trying to get by. I can barely afford to eat. I do not have a mortgage. Oh, this is a rental apartment. Are you sure you have the right person? The bank would never even consider me for one, even though my rent is higher than the mortgage payments would be. So then we can go to the case files here. That's a different one. Investor panic. Yeah. Udo is telling me that he doesn't have a mortgage. It seems highly suspicious. He does seem to be deep in poverty, though. It's unlikely that I can make him cough up the money. Still, I can't return to Mora empty-handed. Basically, killing this guy will allow me to make more than a single stock market transaction per day. So, useful. Anyway, protecting and serving. Here's his head. And whee! Have fun, guys. Wow, he had a lot of coffee on him. And some cocaine. Nice. And a breaching charge. What the hell? Why did he have a breaching charge on him? Okay. Well, it's mine now. So to use these things, you either use it directly or you can equip it. Press V in order to use that. So I'm going to keep the... I also have a HE Hag, explosive grenades. You can put the healing items as well there if you want. So, it's useful. You don't have the weird kind of fucked up biopunk, horrifying implants that you had in Cruelty Squad, but you got a bunch of other very useful items. Like... Yeah. The cool thing about that is you just press space to go up, a jump to go up, and crouch to rappel down, which is really cool. It's very easy to use, but very, very useful. So, I can go down the sewers too if I want to. Yeah, let's go deal with Mr. Chernobog and see what he has to say for himself. Oh, he's in the other apartment. Oh, of course. Alright. Whee! Whee! Disengage. And climb up. There we go. Is he... Oh, up there. See what I mean about multiple ways of getting in and out? There's probably also a vent or a sewer access that you can get into. There's lots of different ways. Areas like this that are kind of like social hubs that can turn to combat zones very quickly if you're not careful. So, let's see what he has to say. You actually found the dog and didn't bring him back? What's wrong with you, you imbecile? You're insinuating that I beat Face Ripper? Fuck you. Face Ripper just needs to be disciplined. Hardened into a proper guard dog. Are you soft or something? You never discipline anyone? Fuck off. Get out of here. Okay, he's now super hostile. Alright. Blah. Make some money. Ooh, hey, I made a lot of money. Nice. 50,000. Jesus. Okay, cool. Yeah, I should have shot him sooner. Okay, yeah, that is why you upgrade Vitality, because that would have killed me otherwise. Let's eat some potatoes. There we go. Cool. Alright, so let's see. Where was Silver? Oh yeah, he's in the park. Still be careful. You never know when a hostile NPC might have spawned. So, yeah. While we're at it, autosave. The thing about those hostile NPCs that spawn sometimes is that you do have to keep on your toes even in seemingly peaceful areas. Like, you know, this asshole here. Sorry about the mess. The owner won't bother me? That's good news. I don't want to know what you did, but I've grown quite fond of this dog. Maybe I'll even give it a name now. Face Ripper isn't really my style. Yeah, I love the fact this guy's a hardened mercenary, but he's actually a pretty cool dude. And as far as I remember, now his helmet is actually available for purchase in the store back at the EFP, so let's go there. So yeah, this gives you a bit of an idea of what you're dealing with. There's a whole bunch of, like, you know, hidden stuff as well, hidden items. There's different factions to, you know, interact with, potentially join. Really, this game is just starting out, but already it's got a shit ton of content in terms of both places to go, people to shoot, things to shoot them with, and all sorts of stuff to find. So let's just save this. There we go. Head back to the garage. Head back there and take a look at that thing. I think it's actually affordable here. Really, I am liking this game as it is. Right now, the main thing is often a lot of balancing. It is very easy to get shredded, even in the mech, to the point where it kind of feels like almost counterproductive at times, depending on how you're starting out. There's, you know, little performance error issues here and there. The occasional small bugs. But really, what it is here is solid in terms of, like, there's only the single main case to complete, a bunch of also side quests and stuff to explore. But really, I recommend taking a look at this. The price tag can be a bit steep for an early access game. It's going to be $40, at least, you know, $40 US. But it's going to stay that price even when it's the full version. So this is not one of those, you know, buy cheap, you know, before every actually comes out. This is one where you're buying it now because you want to check it out now, before it's completed, and possibly, you know, have some input in the direction it goes in and provide, you know, feedback. Ah, here we go. Silver Total Protect. 20,000. Quality 3 helmet. Nice. So that would... yeah, sure, I can buy that. It's always good to have a good helmet. And while I'm at it, see if I can afford that. Yes, I can afford the Type 2 Orgon engine. Perfect. So let's equip that. So, there we go. Now my helmet is a nice little silver. Perfect. Parts. There we go. Type 2 Orgon engine. The cool thing about this is we look at the armor. Right now I got the TP-1000 Grave. I found the harbor area. There's this one, the Rheinstahl VSA, that I found in the Free City there that I was talking about. You start out here with the EFP Cruiser armor, which, if we take a look at it, it's a car. It's basically just a police car that got refurbished into a mech. It's totally nuts here. There's a whole bunch of these things. There's actually in one area that is really, really difficult. If, you know, even for me at this point, it requires some serious concentration. So I won't be going there while I'm talking at the same time. But there's an area where you can actually find a downed attack chopper that you can use also as a actual, you know, mech body. So that's pretty cool. This one's heavy, but, 1100 armor is, no joke. And, decent organ accumulation, too. So, let's take a look at stats on this thing. So, hop in. Did I just... Where's my gun? Oh, okay, it was targeting the wrong thing. Yeah, it's regenerating a bit faster, I think. Yeah, you can see that dodging does, drain very quick, so... Obviously, heavy legs, you're moving slower, but you can carry more shit. So, it's one of those things where you have various trade-offs. Yeah, so, Psycho Patrol R. The game is unfinished, currently in development, and honestly, it is really, really, really good, even as far as this early stage of development. There's just a whole bunch of really cool stuff to deal with and do. I am looking forward to seeing how this game continues to develop over time. I'm hoping that, we get, more stuff in terms of, like, things to acquire, like, mech parts and stuff like that. But also just in terms of, where the direction the storyline goes into, the different cases that you go on. Because the whole idea of being an extremely violent, borderline psychopathic police officer hunting down thought crimes, essentially, and of various kinds, is an interesting concept in and of itself, while also being just, utterly horrific in its own right. Like, the whole concept is just, like, demented in and of itself. I mean, you come with a standard issue cyanide capsule. Your main ride includes tank armor-piercing automatic weapons, and you have no repercussions for stepping on the citizenry. Yeah, this world may not be quite as cosmically screwed up as Cruelty Squad's world is, but yeah, this is a messed up kind of system that we're a part of, and we are its willing avatar of justice. So, yeah. Psycho Patrol R. It is currently available on Steam. I recommend taking a look at it, or at the very least, following its development, and when it's finally released, checking it out if you're not into the whole early access thing. This is a game that I think is going to scratch an itch for a lot of people who, A, really enjoy that kind of immersive sim kind of gameplay, but also enjoy this combination of a tactical shooter a la SWAT or, Rainbow Six, with also the, just the, sheer destructive capability you have in those mechs, while also still being a fairly tactical game in its own right. So, yeah, this is honestly one worth checking out. I have been Zero Sum. Thank you all for watching. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. This has been Psycho Patrol R, and I'm ejecting. Bye-bye.
All primary objectives complete. Mission successful.